Do you wave your terrible towel when Renegade plays? Reach for a tasty cake when JJ shouts, "He scores!" Does the sound of an F1 engine make your heart race? Doing push-ups with a Nittany Lion after a TD? Then lend us an ear, and we will share the exhilaration of Steelers football, the excitement of Flyers hockey, the nail-biting finishes of F1, and the pride when we yell, "We are Penn State." Welcome to the SteelFlyers Show, the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SteelFlyers All Sports Network. And boy, have we got a very special show lined up for you tonight. That's right. We're going to be talking about the Philadelphia Flyers expansion draft coming up here real soon. And we only bring the experts. That's right. We brought Kevin Fortier, the expert. That's right. He is joining us on the show to talk about the Flyers expansion. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing great, Steel. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about Philadelphia Flyers hockey. I love the jersey you got going on there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is my Chris Pronger jersey from the Winter Classic when he was here. And like we were just talking about, my other jersey is a Lindros black and white captain's jersey.
Yeah, man, can't go wrong with either one of those. I loved Chris Pronger here. I thought that was a great fit for him, his attitude, the way he played, and it was great seeing him play here for the Flyers. And real shame what happened, the way he had to leave the game. Yes. You know what I mean? But really loved Chris Pronger. So, Kevin, I want to thank you very much for hopping on here, man, for real. We've been kind of following each other here for a little while on Twitter and been kind of admiring your stuff from afar. And have always kind of wondered if you were going to get into the game again. And now that you've kind of dabbed your toes back in, I kind of wanted to bring you on and help you, number one, get some exposure, get you back, rolling again. Number two, because I wanted to meet you and I wanted to hear your perspective on the team.
Yeah, it's kind of been a little up and down. I got started, I think, back in around mid-2014. I got an email from a guy who was starting up his own blog and asked me if I'd be interested in writing for him. It was called brokenbellsports.com. Now, that's not around anymore, but okay. I wrote for him for a while, and he had, if I remember right, I think his wife got sick and he just had to kind of pull away. And after that, I ended up writing for, I had the Thursday spot for Flyerdelphia, which is part of Sports Talk Philly, and wrote for them for a while, and then got scooped up with the Phillies Flyer crew. Dan Silver and I were like the original two writers when Anthony got that started up. And I had known Isaiah from O&B for a while on Twitter, and when he started his show up, he had me on several times, and that's what really kind of got me interested in it. And I kind of guested on a couple of shows here and there, and then I got pulled in. There was a guy who's, I don't even think he's on Twitter anymore. He actually started Flyers Face Off. It was his original show.
Okay.
And during the last year of the Hackstall era, he just threw his hands up and he was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and he shut everything down. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to pick that up.
Okay.
And one of the other co-hosts, Mike Aceto, and I were doing it. And then Mike he got married, bought a house. He had all kinds of stuff going on. So I did it on my own for a while. And then I kind of got burned out, and now I'm trying to get back into it again.
Okay. Well, we're hoping that you don't get too burned out, and that maybe you kind of come into it with maybe a little bit more reserve. How's that? So that you don't come in full guns blazing, right? You just come in a little bit at a time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we're drawing you back in, Kevin. Come on.
Every time I think I get out, they pull me back in.
That's right. That's exactly where I was going. But I'm glad that you're kind of getting back into it. I very much enjoyed writing or reading some of the stuff that you've written. I very much enjoyed some of the last couple of shows that you've done as well too. So was very interested and was kind of hoping, because I too know Isaiah from O&B, great guy.
Yep.
Those guys over there are really awesome. Had him and Chef both on the show a couple of times. So yeah, it's like I said, I look to him as the standard. You know what I mean? And he's just a great guy. And if he's backing somebody, then I feel comfortable with, you know what I mean? And so he had nothing but good things to say. Yeah. So awesome stuff. This is what I've been trying to do here at SteelFlyers, is build this community where we have these group of guys that we're all kind of eating from the same table, basically. I mean, we're all trying to get the same kind of information out to basically the same group of people.
Yep.
And so if I can help you in any way, it would behoove me to do so. That's how I look at it. Okay. And that was one of the main reasons why we have the Hockey Writers Inc., because it gave Lance a platform to talk about his articles. You know what I mean? So and I don't know if you can tell this, but there's a lot of passion going on here at SteelFlyers All Sports Network. And we're very passionate about the sports that we talk about, and especially the teams that we love. And even the ones that, even though we don't love them, we're still going to give you the facts about it. And we're still going to cheer when they do good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's how it is. So, all right. Well, so now you've already answered like some of the questions that I was going to ask you. All right. So how about if we do this? Why don't you tell us about the website and tell us about how everybody can get a hold of you, and where can they find the website specifically? Do you have a YouTube channel? Are you on Twitch or, whatever? Why don't you let the folks know what that information is?
Okay. You can follow me at KS Fortier on Twitter. The show is at Flyers Off, which is the original name, and I haven't been able to get that changed. But if you just type in Flyers Face Off, it'll come up too. I do have a YouTube channel. A couple of weeks ago, I just got into that, created the show, uploaded my old shows that were out on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And linked to a couple of the shows that I had done. I've been on with Yariv and Jamie, and I've had them on my show a couple of times. I've been with them a couple of times. Same with Isaiah and Chef, gone back and forth. So the YouTube channel, if you just go out and type Flyers Face Off, it'll pull up the YouTube channel. I also have a Facebook page for Flyers Face Off. And the website where I've started writing again is flyersfaceoffsplural.com.
Okay. Awesome. That's awesome. And so these are all the platforms that you have so far right now, yes?
Yeah, I don't have Twitch or Instagram or anything else.
Yeah, I don't have that either. But all right, cool. Man, that's great, dude. That's great. I'm really glad to see that you're kind of reconnecting in here, because I too, Lance writes for Flyers Nitty Gritty. Jamie's a really, the guy is all heart. We don't call him Captain America for nothing. Right? You've been part of those tweet threads and all that stuff, right? The guy's got heart. You know what I'm saying? Yariv, heck of a guy. You know what I mean? I really appreciate all the support that Flyers Nitty Gritty gives. You know what I mean? And especially with Lance being part of the SteelFlyers and being part of Hockey Writers Inc. That's been amazing to having him on here. And we are so lucky and blessed to have you on, because we're going to talk about the expansion draft here for the Flyers. And I've been doing kind of these sets of these conversations with the professionals. Okay. And so we're going to talk about what's going to happen with the Philadelphia Flyers in the expansion draft. The expansion draft is coming up here in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, the 21st, Wednesday, the 21st.
Okay, so and the lists have to be in by the 17th of who they're going to protect. Okay. And there's two different ways that each team could go. They could either do 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and a goalie, or they could do a total of 8 skaters, I believe. Is that what it is?
That's correct. Yep.
Right. Okay. So we're looking at the expansion draft. We're going, okay, we have a group of people, of players here that the Flyers have. Who are the Flyers looking to protect, Kevin? I mean, are they going to go with the 7 forwards and 3 D men, do you think? Or are they going to go the other way with 8 total skaters? What's your opinion? What's your take on what you think the Flyers are going to do here in the expansion draft as far as who they might be looking to protect, which way they're going to go as far as which philosophy? Are they going to go with the total of 11 potential players that they can protect, which I think they're going to go, or 8?
Yeah, I think they're going to go with the 8 forwards, 3 defense, and a goalie. I think it makes more sense for the team. They can protect more players. And I don't think they need to protect any more defensemen, which would be the only reason for them to go that route. So I think they're going to go that way. And of course, I have a list too, but whenever you want to talk about that, we'll
get into that. We're going to get into that. Oh, yes,
but I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah. To me, I agree. I mean, why not take the one that has the most guys that you can protect?
Exactly.
I mean, my question though is, this is a little off topic here, and I just wanted to kind of ask you this question here. What do you consider to be a pro? See, this is where I have a little bit of a fuzzy logic here with the NHL. I might not necessarily agree with the NHL, so I'm going to ask you what your take is. The NHL is considering time played in the AHL is considered professional time, yes?
Right.
Okay. Well, what's your opinion about that?
Well, obviously, I would prefer that it specifically focused on the NHL playing time. And then you don't have to worry about, somebody who's in the, third or the second half of his second year or the third year of his entry-level contract and still just kind of feeling out the whole thing and getting used to playing at the professional level. I think it should, in a perfect world, it would be strictly NHL players.
See, I feel the same way. I don't necessarily consider the AHL to be, I mean, I guess you have to call it professional. I mean, I don't really consider them to be professional. I consider that to be minor leagues.
Right.
Like baseball has minor leagues, right? Yep. Now, those guys still get paid. They're still making bank. I mean, they're not making $310 million 10-year contracts that, guys from the Phillies are signing. Bryce Harper, but they're still making money. They still signed a contract. They're still getting a paycheck for going out there to play baseball.
Yeah.
So to me, that's kind of where that's a little fuzzy for me there. You know what I mean? I agree. I think it should be straight NHL time only. You have to play 3 years in the NHL. End of story. However, all right. So you said you had a list, huh?
I do.
Well, it just so happens, Mr. Kevin, that I have a list too. So,
I figured you might.
What do you say we do a little comparison shopping here? What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right. All right. So, wait a second here. Oh my gosh, I almost didn't. I have to re-find my list. I had it closed and. All right, I got it open now. We're good. Okay. I'm going to go with number 1 guy, and then we'll just go down from there. All right.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. There's no importance or anything like this, but maybe you can tell me why we need to protect him, aside from the fact that if he has a no movement clause, which we'll get to that. So we both feel that they're going to go with the most protected players.
Yep.
Okay. So that leaves 3 defensemen, 1 goalie, and 7 forwards. Yeah. Yes. All right. Okay. So give me let's go with the forwards first. Okay. So who's your number 1 forward that you would have to protect?
Well, I would start with Giroux because you have to protect them.
Yeah. No movement clause. Right.
Right.
Okay. So number 2.
Same thing for Hayes, who I really wish we could expose, but that's another story.
That might be another show. Maybe we should do that on your show.
Another show.
But I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. Okay, so those are the first 2 right off the top, which you already know that they have to be because they have the no movement clauses. Okay, so now the next guy, that would be number 3rd player. This would be the 3rd forward now. Who would that be?
Has to be Sean Couturier. Probably the best player on the team overall. Selke guy, almost every year, number 1 center on the team. You got to do it.
Yeah. Potentially, maybe even. I think he's definitely captain material.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So now we got the obvious ones, obviously, because Couturier and Giroux and Hayes. Those are the 3 obvious ones. All right. So now go to number 4. This is where that's not so obvious anymore.
So the 4th forward on my list is Joel Farabee. He really came into his own especially the first half of the season. I mean, he was on fire.
Yeah.
He was running, I think, a little even above a point per game pace for a while. He, every time he shot the puck, it seemed like it was going in the net. Then he had a huge dry spell, but again, he's just a young kid. I think he's, future star in the NHL. He's, going to be probably an assistant captain. He's his hockey sense is definitely up there as one of the best on the team.
And he did all the right things too in the off season. Bulked up, put on like 15 pounds. Yep. You know what I mean? And bulked up and made himself that much more available. See, I would have put him on my list, but I wasn't sure about, at the time that I did my list, I wasn't sure about what the rules were as far as what they were considering professional. Okay. So I would have to agree with you. I would have to put Joel on the list. He is one of my favorite players on the Flyers of all the young talent that's been coming up. He's one of my favorites. I really like what he did in the off season. I really like what his game has done. Yeah, he did drop off there in the middle of the season, as almost everybody on the team did, but he came at the end strong. And he was still able to put up 20 goals, even though the last 2 goals were in the last game. He still was able to get 20 goals. You know what I mean? So I'm with you on that. I would have to say that the forward that I have on my list, I would have to say, as far as that 4th one would be, for me, would be Lawton. Okay. And he was protected in the last expansion draft, and I believe he should be as well, because he's a few and far between player that almost every team covets.
True.
And he has done exemplary work for the Flyers over the last 2 years, which is why he signed a pretty big contract here to continue to play for the Flyers. Now, even though he got a no movement clause and all that other, he didn't get that, right? He just got a regular contract, whatever. I believe that he is one of those types of players that we could ill afford to not protect, in my opinion. If I had, there might be a guy on here that I would remove later on to put who's the guy we said? Farabee. I would remove another guy to put Farabee in that slot. Now that I know that they can still consider AHL time as pro. Okay. So to me, Lawton would be that guy. So who would be another?
You know what? I screwed up. We don't have to protect Farabee. He's still under the
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So then I would have Lawton on my list as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
God, I blew that one. I can't believe it.
But see, I wasn't sure though, because I thought that I didn't know that they were counting the AHL time. But see, I didn't realize this was only his. This is only going to be the start of his third year.
Right. It's only going to be the start.
All right. Gee. All right. Okay. So look, I was just on that same boat too, man. So okay. So we both like Lawton as our number 4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So who could potentially be the next forward that you would put on your list as we could protect?
Now we're kind of getting down to order not really mattering as much here. But,
yep.
Even though he really struggled this year, you got to protect Travis Konechny. I mean, you're shaking your head.
I mean, I have him on my list as a maybe. Right, because I selected 11. Right, I put an extra forward in there because I wasn't sure about what was going on. If I had to put Lindblom or if I had to put a Farabee in there or not. So that's why I put Konechny in there as my last one. Right, but I mean I see what you mean though. He's like on the cusp, isn't he?
I mean, he scored 24 goals 3 times. The year before this past season, he was the Flyers' leading scorer. He was almost at a point per game, 61 points in 66 games.
Okay.
And then he completely forgot how to score in the playoffs, in the bubble.
Okay, see, that's where I'm going to go to.
And then he just really struggled again this year. I mean, only scoring 11 goals and 34 points.
Now, he was affected by COVID this year.
Yeah, he was affected by COVID.
He did get COVID, and he had it bad. Like, he was down the longest.
But if you don't protect him, then who would you protect in his place? Because I think the other guys we're going to protect are probably going to be the same too. So then you're getting down into. I mean,
yeah, we're at that point where, you know what, it might be more advantageous for us to go the other route and do more of the defensemen than the forwards, because to be honest with you, the only other name, if he even qualifies to me, would be Lindblom.
Oh yeah, he was the next guy. Yeah, I went back and forth about which, the order, but I think you have to protect Lindblom. I mean, you got to give him some slack coming off of cancer. He struggled, obviously, but he is a great two-way guy. He's good on the penalty kill. I mean, he plays a full 200-foot game, and he was on pace before he got the cancer diagnosis to score 30 goals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely protect Lindblom.
Okay. All right. So we've agreed on that one. See, and that's kind of where I'm with you on this Konechny thing, because I'm really on the fence with him, because it all stems back from his lack of scoring capabilities in the bubble. And then we thought, all right, I get it. It's a bubble, it's COVID, it's whatever. Fresh start, new off season, hit the ground running, and just didn't show me that same scrappy player that he was before the bubble. Right? And he didn't show me that same heart. Like, he just was phoning it in. You know what I'm saying? So that to me is why I'm on the fence with him. Okay? I don't know who else I could replace him with. You know what I mean? Because do we even have guys eligible? I mean, Frost isn't eligible. We can't protect him. He's not even eligible. Right?
I mean, Patrick, Aubé-Kubel, that's really about it.
And none of those guys are on my list of guys that I feel are even that remotely. I mean, the only other person I thought that I would put on the list would be JVR. And the reason why I put JVR on the list ahead of Konechny, to me, is because JVR is that he showed me something this year.
In the first half.
Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, he showed me something this year that I haven't seen in him since when he was here before.
Yeah.
Okay. They got rid of him before because he wasn't playing all that well. Goes up to Montreal, gets a 30 goal season, and now suddenly he's getting this big contract. Look, he's playing way below his value as far as what his contract is. But of all the players that are on the Flyers, I feel that he's the one that should probably stay because, number one, he's a veteran. Number two, he does potentially have that 20 to 25 to 30 goal potential is still there with him. He's still good on the power play. You know what I'm saying? And he bought into AV's system this year, which is another reason why I would lean more towards JVR.
Yeah, well, and when I said, there's not really much else because I'm exposing him and Voracek because I want one of the big contracts to get taken.
I agree.
And I mean, Voracek's got one more year than JVR does, and he's making 1.25 mil more.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah. This is the crazy thing. All right. So those were the forwards. And we already know that the goalie is there even a question that Carter Hart would be?
No.
Okay. All right. So that's the obvious. All right. So and then there's probably going to be at least one obvious D-man that we're going to have to protect. So let's get into the D-men because I think that's going to be a rather touchy. Yeah. So, all right. So, to me, I feel that Provorov has to be. To me, that's the no-brainer pick.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, that's a no-brainer pick. All right. I'm going to go way off the rails here on you now.
Oh boy.
Yep. I believe that Sam Morin, if he needs to be protected, I think he should be.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Did not see that coming.
See, told you I was going to go off the rails. And this is why. Sam Morin brings something to this team that they do not have, that they desperately need.
Yeah.
And what is that? Physicality. And what else is that? Finishing checks.
Yeah.
What else is that?
Dropping the gloves.
Him sitting there like, look, the last set of Ranger games, he's sitting there on his knees on the blue line, chirping to Zibanejad across the way. All right? That's what Philadelphia needs on the team. A guy that can skate around and protect guys like Lindblom. Lindblom should not have to be dropping gloves to protect players.
No, that was
stupid.
Yeah.
That should not be the case. Okay? Exactly. So that to me is one of those players, and I really do, that he had his two major injuries, but man, I'll tell you what, that kid's got heart.
Oh, no.
He's got something that I haven't seen on this team since Danny Briere was here.
But do you really think he's at risk?
No. Who else? I mean, who else do I have to put there? I mean, most of our D-men, aside from the young guys, most of all of our D are relatively young. I don't need to protect Braun. See ya if he goes. Right? I can't wait to see that guy go.
Really?
I know that we're not going to protect Ghost because he's one of those bigger contracts that we would like to see go away. Right? So, yeah, there's nobody else on the defense to me, unless you're talking about maybe Myers, Phil Myers.
Thank you.
Okay. But I mean, really, that's kind of it.
Well, I think they're going to protect Provy, Myers, and Sanheim.
See, I'm not sold on Sanheim at all. Not sold on him at all.
Well, I actually, when I did my roster for Cap Friendly a while back, I trade Sanheim. I actually had him in a package for Nick Ehlers from Winnipeg. I love
boy,
Ehlers.
did you score on that one?
Oh yeah, yeah. And obviously there was a lot more than just Sanheim in that deal. But yeah, I would absolutely move him. I mean, you've got York coming up, you've got Zamula coming up. They've got a ton of guys on left defense, and Sanheim has actually regressed the last 3 straight years. His production numbers, other than Corsi, his numbers have across the board dropped 3 straight years.
Yep.
And I think he's expendable. And I think, I saw somebody the other day post that, he's gonna demand and probably get $6 million. I said, are you out of your freaking mind?
For what?
$6 million?
For what?
Yeah.
To what? Deliver popsicles to your house? I mean,
yeah.
I'm so with you, though. I'm so with you.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I'm protecting him is so that we can package him, and try to get a winger that can actually score on the fly, other than Farabee.
All right, I see that philosophy there. I can see where you're coming from on that. All right, I get you, but that's why I would much rather do Moran than Sanheim and still package Sanheim up, because he's not signed, for one. For two, yeah, all of his numbers regressed massively. And quite frankly, I don't want a 6 foot, what is he, 6'4", 6'5",
6'4",
something, right? I don't need a 6'4" guy who only has 40 hits for the whole season. I'm sorry. I don't want a 6'4" guy who doesn't want to hit the gym and put on an extra 10 or 15 pounds like another teammate of his did to bulk up so he could be a little bit more of a defenseman. Yeah. We don't need any more offensive defensemen on the Flyers. That's all these guys are.
Think there's any chance that Moran would get taken. So I think it's just I just don't see the need to protect him.
Okay. Because I get you. I understand. And I can understand why you would want to do that as well too. You know what I mean? Because then that kind of puts a little bit more value on Sanheim. You know what I mean? That he could potentially garner more in return. You know what I mean? Right. So I do understand why you would be saying that. So I get it. All right. Look, this list is obviously subject to change. Yep. And it's just our opinions.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing. And this is another reason why I wanted to have you on, because I feel that we have a lot of the same kind of we think along the same lines. You know what I mean? Like we have some of the same kind of ideas, what we think our vision is for this team, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really like your list. It looks pretty close to mine. We agreed to disagree on a few. But that's what makes this awesome. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate you doing this. And I'll tell you what. Right after the expansion draft, the Flyers are going to be going right into the regular draft. That's 2 days. That's 2 days later. That's that following week, that very weekend.
Yeah.
Is the regular draft, and the Flyers are picking 13th overall. Right? The Arizona forfeit pick, so now Flyers slot into pick 13.
Right.
And I don't know, man. What do you think? Do you think Flyers are gonna? Do you think they're gonna eventually? Do you think they're gonna use this pick for a pick, or do you think they're gonna trade it?
Knowing the management to the extent that we do, I think they're probably going to use the pick. Now, whether they try to package it to move up is a possibility. I would love to see them try to move up to get Brant Clark, who's a right shot D-man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had so many fights on Twitter with people, and I just had another one over this weekend, thinking that we've got Phil Myers. Okay. And do you need anybody else? Do you ever want to draft, somebody that's a right shot D to, bring along in the system too? You can't just have one guy that's a right hand defenseman that has, obvious NHL caliber talent. And they've skipped over so many guys, and it's been mind boggling. But so I don't know. I mean, will they be able to move up to take somebody like him? It's tough. You don't see a lot of those types of trades at the draft anymore.
Right.
So they may end up taking, the 13th overall pick. There's been a few names I've seen talked about: Cole Sillinger, Fabian.
That would be available at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think this draft is not a really deep draft.
No, but there are 4 or 5 players that could potentially be selected number 1, which is a little deeper than last year. Like, there was clearly only one last year, Lafreniere, right? This year, there's the water's a little bit more muddier. There's 3 or 4 players that potentially could be. So if you're in the top 3 pick, you're going to get a pretty darn good player,
right,
in my opinion, this year. Okay, so you think they're going to actually use the pick? And I didn't even actually think about them packaging it up to move up. I wasn't even thinking that. See, man, that's why we bring the experts in, buddy. Come on. I wasn't even thinking about moving up. Oh, yeah. By all means, please take one of these. Look, between me, you, and the Walls, I don't think Seattle is going to come to Philadelphia and go, oh, so you need Voracek off your books.
Right.
We'll be more than happy to take that player from you. No problem. Seattle's going to come in and find the guy like Knack, or, one of the guys that's low on the list, that's only making 750 G's a year. That's who they're going to take, right? Come on. They don't need a guy. Look, nobody needs a guy like Voracek and his contract. His value is not there. Okay. There are a list as long as my arm of players that are making more or the same money and are more productive than him. Yeah. That are either the same age, older, or even younger. So you can't sell me on Voracek no more. Okay. And I'm kind of feeling the same way too about JVR, because he had a good year. He showed me something this year. If we could keep one of them, he would be one of the ones I would keep. But if we can lose his salary too, it's been a slice.
Yeah, well, and circling back to that real quick, obviously, I don't think they're going to take either one of those guys straight up. We're going to have to do something to sweeten the pot. I hate for it to be the first round pick. I'd rather package that maybe to try to get a winger, or somebody else to help down the roster somewhere. But if I would be more than happy to give him a second rounder or a prospect. Throw him Rupsov or somebody, whoever, right?
Sandstrom. Give him Sandstrom.
Yeah, Sandstrom.
Braun. Throw Braun in there too. God, just keep throwing guys into that pile. Just keep, here, take this guy too. Hey, White, take this guy too. I'm with you. And that's why I asked you that question about, do you think they're going to use their pick to actually pick a player? Or because we were talking about this the other day, and it was like, yeah, the only way Voracek's going to leave is if you put a number 1 draft pick onto him. Well, why do I want to do that?
Yeah.
That to me is the dumbest thing. Look, it seems to me that me and you both do not get warm and fuzzies with the current administration at the Philadelphia Flyers. Right. From what I've seen so far, and what I perceive to be what's needed for the future, it seems to me that the Philadelphia Flyers are at a crossroads right now. What happens in this expansion draft and what happens in this NHL draft and this offseason is going to affect this team for the next 5 years, because you're going to have to sign Carter Hart for at least a bridge deal for 3 years, at least $2.7 million or whatever for 3 years. You got to get a backup goalie in here. No matter what else you do, if you don't do anything else, you got to at least bring one of those guys in, and they're going to come at $3 or $4 million a year. So they are pretty much as the end of your money. And
and you've got a couple of RFAs you've got to sign. So unless and this is something else I've been saying. Unless they can move at least one of those big contracts, other than signing the RFAs and getting a backup goalie, that's it. There's no more money.
That's exactly right. There's no more money. So that's kind of the way I feel too. And I'm not getting warm and fuzzies here from Chuck and the gang. Okay, I'm just not. Okay, and I'm really afraid, actually, to be honest with you, the fact that he's kind of got the reins on this team right now, and I'm just really kind of afraid, if you must know the truth, because I do feel that what happens in this offseason and whatever is going to affect this team for the next 5 years. Because in the next 5 years, Giroux's contract is gone. Couturier's contract is gone. Voracek's contract is gone. That's in less than 5 years. So you got to do something with that. And, hey, man, we all tried to tell Chuck to save some money because he was going to have to pay Carter Hart. And what did he do? He went out and signed Gustafsson, and then signed Braun to that contract, and then. So I really don't have any sympathy per se, but it's like, gosh, man, my team, dude, what are you doing to my team?
Well, my first pet peeve with him, and I was saying this before that season was even over, I did not want to have anything to do with Kevin Hayes. I knew it was going to be too expensive. It was going to be too long a term, and he was not going to live up to the deal. And it's he had one. Yeah, I mean, again, this year, he had an injury, whatever. But I just think that's going to be a disaster. It's going to be the next JVR or Voracek hanging over their heads.
You know what? I was talking to Perlo about this the other day. If Hayes would be even 80% of Scott Hartnell, then I could justify his contract. But he's not even 80% of Scott Hartnell. Okay, so all right. See, I knew if I brought you on here that we'd have some of the similar opinions here about some stuff. So, Kevin, this has been a blast, my man. This has been so awesome, dude. I can't wait to do some more of these. I want to do some more conversations with you. I want to pick your brain some more. I want to get some more of your insight and things of that nature. Why don't you tell the folks how we can reach you again, where we can find all your great stuff, where your website is, your YouTube channel, which, by the way, folks, we'll have in the links here for you in the show so that you can link right to Kevin's stuff. You can get right to his website, get right to his YouTube channel, right to his Facebook page. We'll have all those links in there provided for you, man. So why don't you let the folks know where we can get you?
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. This has been a blast, and I'll definitely want to have you on my show. In the next couple of weeks, there's going to be potentially some changes that we're going to need to talk about. So
I think we're going to have to probably re-advise our lists, maybe.
Yeah. So you can follow me at KS Fortier. You can follow the show at Flyers Face Off. The website is flyersfaceoffs.com, and you can get my YouTube channel. Just type in Flyers Face Off.
Awesome, man. Can't wait. Thanks for joining us on the show, man. Really appreciate that. You can check me out on Twitter at SteelFlyers52, or you can check me out on the web at www.steelflyers.com. You can check everything out there at the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, where the strangest combination of sports fandom since pineapple was put on pizza. Just remember, folks, stay safe, stay strong, and hang tough.